I'm going to show you how to subtract integers. There's a very simple rule that you need to remember when you see subtraction of integers. Subtraction of positive and negative numbers really means to simply add the opposite. So I want you to write down this rule into your notes. To subtract an integer, you simply add its opposite. As we're learning to do this, what I'd like you to do is to write down the problem and to rewrite it as an addition problem. Take these three examples. 7 minus a negative 3 is actually the same thing as 7 plus a positive 3. See, when you see subtraction, all you really have to do is add the opposite of the number. If the number is negative, it becomes positive. If it were positive, it would become negative. So take this one for example. Negative 16 minus 5 can actually be rewritten as negative 16 plus negative 5. I'm going to put the negative 5 in parentheses so you can see that it's negative 5, and this is not a subtraction sign. So negative 16 minus 5 is the same thing as negative 16 plus negative 5. We're simply adding the opposite. Adding the opposite. And then once you change it to an addition problem, you simply follow the rules for addition. We already learned when you have two positives, you add them. And you keep the sign. Positive and a positive, that means you add 7 and 3 and you get positive 10. If you have a negative and a negative, you also add. So we're going to add 16 and 5 to get 21. And if they're both negative, the answer is going to be negative when adding. So again, when we see subtraction, all we're going to do is add the opposite. So in this last example, negative 72 minus negative 62 is going to become negative 72 plus positive 62. You see, in all of these examples, we are not changing the first number in the subtraction sentence. 7 is going to stay 7. Negative 16 is staying negative 16. Negative 72 is staying negative 72. We're not changing the first number. What we are changing is we're changing the sign of the second number. So each of the second numbers in the sentences have become the opposite. Why? Because subtraction is the same thing as adding the opposite. So let's follow the rules for addition on this last one. Now that we have an addition sentence, we think about the rules. If you have two different signs, a negative and a positive, what do we do again? That's right, we actually find a difference. We subtract 72 minus 62, and that would give us 10. And then we keep the sign of the number with a larger absolute value. Since we have more negatives, the answer is going to be negative. Our larger absolute value is negative 72, so our answer is going to be negative 10. So to summarize, when you see subtraction, you add the opposite. You rewrite the problem as an addition sentence, and then add the opposite. And then follow the rules for adding, which you know by now very well. So let's practice this. I want you to try the problems on this page. Pause the video, unpause it when you're finished, and we'll go over the answers. Okay, let's see how you did. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the subtraction sentences as addition sentences and then go over the answer. So 6 minus negative 3 can be written as 6 plus positive 3, which is simply 9. 11 minus negative 6 can be rewritten as 11 plus positive 6, which is simply 17. Negative 8 minus 3 can be rewritten as negative 8 plus negative 3, and then we follow the rules for adding. If I have two negatives, I really do add them, and that would give me negative 11. 5 minus 8, well, that's the same thing as 5 plus a negative 8. And if I have different signs, I subtract them, so that would give me negative 3. Negative 2 minus negative 12 can be rewritten as negative 2 plus positive 12. And I have two different signs there, so I'm going to subtract them. And that would give me 10, and the bigger number is positive, so I keep the answer positive. 10 minus negative 10 is the same thing as 10 plus positive 10. And that's just 20. 10 plus 10 is 20. Okay, bring these problems to class tomorrow. Make sure you finish them. Make sure you've written them all down on your note sheet with your examples. And we will go over these ones in class tomorrow. See you then.